especially, man, somebody posted a screenshot on the poll that I posted about them farming when it was like 20,000% APR. That's the only thing I wish I would do different. I wish I would have got in earlier on it because I didn't understand it either. I'm like, farming incentive token, maybe. I don't know. I'm waiting on other stuff. And then, I was excited about single side staking. And then it went down to 1,000%, and then went down to the upper hundreds. And I was like, maybe I should, maybe I'll put a little bit in or something. Let me try it out. And I'm like, whoa. That's very interesting. I'm looking around. Is anyone else doing this? Anyone else seeing this?
I got in the first 5 minutes myself. I happened to be fortunate. It launched when I was available to be online. So when he said it's live, I walked right in there. I had my plan, executed it, did all my staking. I got the high, 20,000, whatever it was, APR, and I got a few tokens super quick. Then it went down quick, obviously, because I had to put a whole lot in my bag. I wanted enough to trade around myself for ratio trading, but what I did put in there. I got I think within less than 2 days, I got like 10 ink, just super fast. Yeah, which was a lot compared to what you got now. As far as the rate. So I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And so anyway, but that was a whole fiasco. The whole first couple bridge and all that mess. But that's all behind us now. But
I've heard some people get some amazing deals on PulseChain launch. I may have picked up some good stuff too, but I keep hearing, I'm like, whoa, like, I'll think about what I got, and then I'll hear somebody else talk about them. All right, I didn't get that deal. That's an amazing deal. Yeah. Let's see. What was I going to say on this? Oh yeah. So you said, you picked up a few in a couple days or so. It really does depend on, and this is why some people may not want to participate in farms. We're talking about in the green room about distribution of people who sacked and actually had the coins. The bridge was not really working the first week or so it's hard to even get more of this stuff unless you wanted to trade one for another, aka ratio trading. Remember, that was a whole big thing. So if you got $1,000 and you got $10,000, there's a difference, right? We'll just go to the die pool, put in 1,000. Current rates, permanent loss, all that stuff included, $6 a day, $62 a day with 10K, and 100K, $600 per day. So there's a big factor of how much you put in. I hear a lot of people put in 5% of their stack, put in a few $1,000s and stuff like that. You are still going to earn, based on whatever the calculator says at current rates, could go up and down, but you're not going to earn as much as someone putting in 50K, 100K, $1 million. Right. There are some whales making bank on this stuff, and there's some not whales too. There's some dolphins, there's some squids, there's some people who are taking the risk, right? It is a risk you're taking. It's not risk-free. But if you understand it, you believe market conditions are okay, you have a plan, you choose the pools that you like the best and all that stuff. People are making plenty of money, and you don't have to be a whale to do it, but you do have to understand what you're doing, be okay with the risk, and not blame anyone if it goes wrong. Well,
that's exactly right, because you said if you understand the risk, then you would know that idle tokens aren't making you money. Just holding is not making you money. So exactly. There's nothing wrong with being a hodler. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this: if you understand how the system works, you can maximize your yield and still be a hodler simultaneously if you understand how the games are played. And so, exactly. I mean, most of my stuff's in contracts and farms right now in LP. So I'm not worried about, losing anything. I know what the ratios are and I see what's going on. And no matter where I sit, I'm happy with all the things because I can always trade back and forth and be back better than I was when I started. So I've made my coins during this time, and I've increased my position. That's my whole goal right now. I mean, and I'm not bringing any dry powder in either. This is all with what I'm earning just on chain as it sits. So if you're smart and you know what you're doing, it can be done. You just got to think about it and just don't do the DJing game and chase meme coins.
There are effective ways to get yield in this ecosystem. That's the whole game. I've talked about this before. The thing I'm looking for is the place I can take my money to multiply and make more money. And if it's just sitting in the corner, I evaluate the risk. I look at it, understand ratios, all that. And I determine, is this worth the risk to participate in or not? And everyone's got to do that. But it's hard for me to look at my money sitting in a corner. I'm waiting for single staking. I'm waiting for, this protocol to launch or whatever. It's hard for me to look at it and then look at the APRs and be like, I would like to make some more money on my money. But let me make sure I know what I'm doing before I do that. And I think a lot of people are participating. A lot of people aren't. But man, it's the opportunity is there.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's all on you. You're the individual. You're the investor. You got to decide what you're going to do. And with Tetra, all this can be automated for you. I can set up a simple swing trade strategy that moves you back and forth, and you accumulate over time. Real simple. That's all you got to do. I mean, I did it manually with when PHUX launched. I got in. I happened to be 30 minutes when they opened. I got in there. I jumped on that thing. I said, well, "Look at this. People dumping and I'm buying." When they bought, I dumped, and I went back and forth. It was so easy. It was like clockwork. I felt kind of bad, but I was like, well, people are doing what they're going to do. I mean, I'm just going to
Neil's taking candy from a baby's digital babies.
But it's those type of things. You get lucky. You find the right position, and then on top of that, before I realized what was happening with the protocol, I ended up providing liquidity on the PulseX for the pair at a really good deal when it dropped. I'm like, wow, I'm making a lot of fees now on V2 liquidity. And I got very little in it. In fact, I'm way up percentage-wise what I put in. So I'm like, this is great. So people can make money. There's ways to do it.
Speaking of the V2 liquidity, the earn protocol, the earn side of PulseX, as far as fees go, what are you looking at? Like, what do you like? What do you feel is risky, not risky? Any commentary on that while we're browsing the pools here?
Yeah. So with earn, because it's going to be probably more open to more people because of the lower price entry. It's only $500 worth of tokens. I would say you got to understand what the stability of the pool does before you enter it. If you enter a stability pool, more than likely you'll lose all those tokens, but you will gain PulseX as a result, plus the earned token itself. Okay, because that's the only way to get it.
Sorry, I mean, we could totally talk about earn, but I just refer to it naturally as V1 being burn and V2 being earn.
Gotcha. I'm sorry.
I meant the V2 pools, but
I got you. Go ahead.
Please continue on earn though. I do want to hear this. Afterwards, we'll talk about the pools.
Okay, so I'm different mind. Anyway, so what we're doing here with that is people must understand that the stability pool is there to provide stability. That's its purpose. And so when you put your stable coins in there, you will probably lose them or some of them, but you will get PulseX and you'll earn the earn token, which you can then stake as well. That's the only way you're going to get it unless they airdrop some people, if they do that or whatever. So know that ahead of time. Be prepared to have a bunch of PulseX all of a sudden in your account and have zero and lose all your stable coins that you borrowed. Oh no, now you're in debt. Well, take the PulseX, go put it back up top in your vault, and then you can decide what you want to do. You change your collateralization ratio, and you lost your stability, but now here you are with way more PulseX. You can market sell it or redeem it for the token it back if you want to. You have 10% more at least, and go from there. In the case of some crazy stuff, now Jesse talked about this before. There's something that happened on testnet. All of a sudden, people lost all their stable coins, and they got a lower collateralization rate. They got hit with more debt. Well, but they got more PulseX as a result. And that happens because to maintain health in the system, there's a function that allows the debt to be distributed amongst all the holders of the vault holders evenly and proportionally. So all those things are possible, and so you got to be careful when you look at fooling with the earn protocol and borrowing money. You got to have a plan. If you provide stability pool money, then just know that you're going to lose it more than likely, or a portion of it over time, especially when you have high volatility in the market.
Is that the same with liquid loans? But
yes,
with
same thing. Yeah, same thing. They both work identical as far as that's concerned. It's just earn was just. I did it, and that happened during the test net, and in fact, I was liquidating myself, just messing around, going through the process, just try to do it on test net to see what would happen, and I was able to do it a couple of times to see mechanically how it worked. And then when that big whale got liquidated, I'm like, oh wow, look at all the debt we all incurred, and we get all this PulseX. And Jesse explained why. I'm like, well, that makes sense because you got to make sure there's still liquidity in the system for everybody to take loans and do their thing.
Very interesting. Yeah, definitely. The two most anticipated projects launches, Liquid Loans and Power City, Earn Protocol, their whole suite, the NFT marketplace, all that stuff. A lot of people very, very high on it. I'm excited to see people deliver. That's the thing. Even with Tetra too, it's like, that's why I say it like this, if Tetra delivers, if Power City delivers, if Liquid Loans delivers, huge for the ecosystem, game changers, pure utilities, pure onboarding tools, pure tools for the users to use in order to manage their finances better. Things we need, fiat, everything else. So, but you got to deliver, right? Like the products have to deliver. We don't need critical bugs. We don't need 2 more years. We don't need just like empty promises or things that are just like, I mean, the fun and drama and stuff we can go through, but if the things fulfill the promises of what they're supposed to do, total game changers. And that's what makes me excited this year, especially 2023. Go sideways all at once. You can accumulate. You can start using the products and get familiar, because when the stampede comes, and we do hope they come, and they get to enjoy all these products. People who got in early and actually know what's going on, are already ahead of the game, are more likely to profit than those just coming in later on. So that's why I think, what'd you wait 2 years for? You waited to be early, and you're going to keep waiting until you decide you can't wait anymore. Some are going to wait longer than others. It's going to be interesting. But one more thing I want to cover. Yes, I affectionately, again, refer to them as burn and earn on the earn LPs portion of PulseX on the pools. What do you, I don't know, you can talk about what you participate in or not, but what do you think is good, interesting, too risky? How do you like the liquidity levels? Like, what do you feel like is interesting to talk about on the pools we got right now?
Well, I look at the V2LP positions for people who want to do this. They have to understand the permanent loss, what they're getting into. So like Doge Pulse, I don't know if I want to do that one. You know what I mean? I don't think I want to lose my Pulse for some Dogecoin, right? Or Pepe or anything like that. But things that have high, you want something with high enough liquidity, but not too high. Because here's the thing: it's all about a ratio. The higher your percentage of the pool, the more you earn of the fees generated. Well, if you got millions and millions of dollars, if I only have $5,000, I ain't gonna earn anything in fees percentage wise. But if there's only say $150,000 liquidity, well then my 5,000 has a lot better value, and I get more percentage, and it may be worthwhile going to that pool, assuming the tokens are worth it, and I'm the permanent loss risk is low enough to where I could stand it if I got sideways one side or the other. And those are hard to find in the system. And you get lucky every now and then. Things that they're either early, maybe. LPing is something that is dynamic. You just can't set and forget forever. You got to manage it, because based upon market conditions, if things start getting skewed and you start getting really, really, really far apart with your ratio and your LP pool, you may get stuck. Maybe something goes to zero, or something happens. There's a contract bug something finds in the future. So these are things you want to have a tight range, and this is where Tetra can help manage and really keep you within the range you choose. So say you want to stay within, say, 10%. If it goes out 10%, you pull it. You say, and stuff like that with V2 liquidity, and make sure you stay within your risk range that you choose.
So when you're looking at some of these pools too, do you want high volume and low liquidity? I mean, does that equal APR versus you want to sort by reward fees? And then
it's you got to look at three things. You want enough liquidity where somebody's going to take all your tokens, so you're one of many, but not too many. You want enough APR fees which is associated with volume, right? That there's enough volume and APR fees that it's worthwhile to do it. So what's your APR going to be? So if I have $5,000, I want to put into one of these pairs, right? So it's 2,500 of each token. All right, so 5,000 out of a million is not much money, not much percentage, but 5,000, say, of 160K, like the Pulse die pair, that's not so bad. It's got pretty good bit of volume, and it's got 404% APR. So that may not be a bad pair to put my 5,000 in, because I'm 5,000, which we're the ratio of 5,000 over 160K. That's my ratio. So that may be a good place to put my money.
Wouldn't that be like $5 or $10 a day?
Looks like something like that, whatever it is,
Yeah.
Whatever the math is, you have to do some calculations. This is how you have to kind of look through these pools and always get the highest rate of return. In this case, Pulse die, it really can't go wrong. Even if I get one side or the other, I can always buy my Pulse back if I had to, with my die I received, and vice versa. So yes, there's a risk, but if you have enough Pulse, $2,500 worth of Pulse, you're willing to risk. Yeah, you get paid for it at where the market rate is at that time. But if you hold it long enough, it'll go back the other way. I mean, things are going to ebb and flow over time. So,
how do you decide whether to participate in the farms versus pools? Because for example, if you're making $10 a day here with your 5K, do you just look at, okay, if I had that 5K in the farms, and we're looking at, some of these, would that incentive token be worth, more than $10 a day or something? Is that how you?
Yeah,
look
pretty
at
much.
it?
Yeah, you have to see how many sim tokens you get and the price per sim token you get per day. So you have to kind of weigh the math there. And if sim token goes up in value because Pulse goes up a little bit, and depending on the farm if you're in a Pulse farm, a Pulse V2 LP farm or LP pair versus a farm, there's a function there of if Pulse goes up, maybe or maybe not, you're doing good on what you're earning. But if you're in a non-Pulse farm, let's say you have, say, two stable coins or whatever, usually your fees are typically lower because the ranges are smaller. So that's a, but if you, let's say you do, let's say PulseX and something and not Pulse will pull the value. If Pulse goes up, it pulls the value of ink up. That means you get more value in your ink. So your APR per day is higher than, let's say, on a pair that may not have that action because it's being pulled by Pulse. It is not Pulse directly. Does that make sense? Because it's all bond liquidity. You got to think about it. What one's pulling the other, which pulls the other. But the things being pulled aren't going to go up as fast as the thing pulling it, like Pulse, because they're all responding to it. And it's complicated, but that's how you got to think. And it's a pain. And I know this is where Tetra comes in. It can just do this, figure out the best rate, and do it for you. And we'll have strategies to help you kind of manage your LP and get the most APR for your investment.
Yeah, I was just going back and forth on this one too. USDC Pulse, and then you have a USDC Pulse here, and it looks like the LP fees you could earn are a little bit less. It was like maybe $20 or something through there if with your 5K versus $30 at the incentive token at the current price. Or maybe and they're fairly close. So I was just thinking that. So LP versus farms too. So of course there's not a farm for everything.
Yeah.
So maybe another reason you would LP is you want to collect. Maybe you want to collect some of the coins that aren't, the RH ecosystem or the stable coin. You don't want to, silently sell through that, and you want to. You're high on some of the community coins, and you want to accumulate those and over time. Is that maybe a primary reason people do it?
Exactly. Yeah, whales can get out, and people can get in at community coins they choose. Like, say they see something that people are going to, they want to dump for and they want to keep. Let's say for the PHUX token. People want PHUX token. Hey, look, but I don't want to market buy. I'll just provide LP and I'll get it over time, enter some fees, get a little bonus and stuff like that. Right. So all these type of things are possible. It's just a matter of doing your own homework on what you want to accumulate. I mean, a hex farm. Think about that farm. If you got both sides of that, you're earning fees and getting hex, and you really can't go wrong if you love hex, or hedron, or ICOs, whatever you're trying to do, all these yield bearing assets.
So even with this one, some of them, so you'd probably look at these more as long term because the fees, unless you have a lot to put in, you're probably not going to be earning a whole lot. You're still going to be. It's almost like you're staking. You're earning both of the EX and PX, assuming you like both of those. You're high in the future, all that stuff. But unless you have 5K in here, wouldn't be netting you too much. It'll be holding you, but I almost feel like staking it would be. You may be able to earn more.
All right. So here's the thing. If let's say you didn't want to stake, you want to keep liquid for a reason, right? This is your liquid bag, right? You stake 90%, you 10% liquid. Well, if I can earn some money on my liquid, why would I not do this, right? There's a scenario. You can just sit and earn, get something out of it, and then when the market turns and does something, then you can buy something else. The price of hex goes up. You say, so you're just a way to earn money, so your coins aren't sitting idle. Now that's how I look at it. How can I make money off my tokens without putting me at risk? In this case, don't know which one to get. I'm happy, and then because they're bonded here, over time they will be bonded even on Ethereum side. Eventually, you'll have some bonding. Now, to what level I don't know. Nobody knows the future, but they tend to always flow in some way together. And once all these DeFi projects come on and we have more and more cross-chain swapping happen, I think you'll see a lot more things that are similar, like Hex, bonded closer together over time.
Yeah, that's the liquidity bonding it's pretty. I got Sloth on Friday. Definitely want to dig into that with him as well. I think that's super important, and I think he's actually got some slides on too, which should be interesting. One more question though before we wrap it up. James says I have 100 pounds. What it Hex, PulseChain, or PulseX? You got anything on that?
I'd say PulseChain. It's the safest bet. Just buy it, and then, or split it. I go 50-50. PulseChain, PulseX. Put it in the farm. Earn ink. You're making money on your money. That's simple.
Money on money. You have to go accumulate, capitulate, celebrate.
Right.
All right. The chanting in the streets. Accumulate, capitulate, celebrate.